Hello one and all, welcome to the channel Gavaxemanspins. So today it's the Valentine's Day special, the stuff of dreams or nightmares depending on your kind of position in life at various times. I kind of was inspired to do this video. I was chopping the old carrots ready for the Sunday dinner last weekend, and on came a certain song on the radio. Now on a Sunday in the UK, most of the radio stations will play the love song section in the morning. I think for people who maybe are having a lie-in and are up to no good. Sadly, I'm always up chopping carrots anyhow. So we're chopping the carrots. A song comes on, and it literally stopped me in my tracks, and I had a little kind of wormhole where I went back 40 odd years to a particularly traumatic moment at a school disco, and it was clear as mud. And then I was back 4 Tuesdays out and chopped my finger off. But song come on, and I thought, bloody hell, even now the power of that song can bring back that terrible memory. So obviously I thought I'd better share it with you, because Valentine's Day is great for some people. I'm lucky enough to have been married now for well over 20 years. But if you'd have said to me in 1992 or the year 2000 that I would be going out with anyone for more than 25 minutes, yet alone be married for 25 years, I would have laughed your head off, because I was not a particularly successful at long-term relationships at any point in my life up until I got married, really. And sometimes even now I can't quite fathom how we're still together. But there you go, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of the motto, isn't it? So thank you to Mrs. Gavaxemanspins for putting up with this sad sack. But enough of that. Let's go back to the end of the 70s to the early 80s, and the first kind of thoughts of romance and school discos and that type of stuff. So I don't know now, do schools still have school discos, or are they proms? And if they do have them, is the slow dance still a thing? I have no idea, because from my recollection, everything about school discos, particularly around Valentine's Day, it was always about the last song of the evening, which traditionally was the one the DJ had put on so people could have a smooch, hence the kind of slow dance. And there were some pretty horrific slow dance type of songs in the 80s, the odd good one, but most of them were pretty awful. Lady in Red, Christa Burr, Phyllis Nelson, Jennifer Rush, Power of Love. Oh my God! So when they come on the radio, even now I kind of have to turn them off. But back in then they were even worse, because it was like these missed opportunities would forever haunt you. But when I first went to discos, there was a different kind of haunting, really, and that was caused because I went to the pictures at the early 80s, because they did a child-friendly version of this film, Saturday Night Fever. And I thought, basically, if you went to a disco, that effectively is what all discos in the whole of the world looked like, and that you had to kind of wear some kind of very flamboyant suits, that the dance floor would light up all around you, the crowd would part, and your every dance move would be analysed for eternity, and if you weren't very good, you would just be laughed at. And I'm glad to say that was not the case, but for many years the spectre of John Travolta in his white suit haunted me, and thank you the Bee Gees, but I don't know about staying alive, but you almost made me just stay at home. But yeah, so I was glad to say that my initial experience of the discos were nothing like that. And my junior school was great, because we had when it's your last year there, you're the big fish in the little pond, and the teachers had put things on for those that were leaving, and it was great because it was cans of shandy bass, penalty shootout tournaments, and then you'd run into the dance floor and they play things like Madness, Baggy Trousers, the Jam Tank, or Malice, what's the other ones, Gino, Dexys, all those two-tone singles, and Adam and the Ants, stuff like that. I did have my first girlfriend at my last year junior school, and I thought life could not get any better. Sadly, when I hit senior school, I then went from being a big fish in a little pond to a very tiny fish in a big pond, and said girlfriend dumped my ass very quickly, because basically there was loads of other better looking boys who were a bit older as well, and I think my constant fascination with all things heavy metal had started to grate. So So yeah, so senior school was a whole different ball game, and for most of my early stages at senior school, the teachers were on strike, so there's no extracurricular activities or anything like that. But it was quite good because you only work for about 3 hours a day and then just go and play football and stuff like that. But eventually they did kind of go back to work properly, and we would then have some events organised. And I can't remember if this particular record I'm going to tell you about now was as a result of a kind of a school event or like a local youth club event, but the dreaded Valentine's Day disco did emerge. So the first problem with Valentine's Day is the whole card thing, which was, and I think Valentine's was invented by card companies to plug the gap between Christmas and Easter, wasn't it? So you got the whole card thing, and of course if you only got one card, everyone knew that was from your mum. And you got two cards, one was from your mum and one was from yourself. So there were those lucky souls who got half a dozen cards, but then of course most of us, got one from your mum and that was it. But once you got past the card thing, you then had the school disco and the workings out of what would happen for that last song. And you and your mates would spend, or my mates would spend hours trying to get kind of mathematical formulas about who would potentially cop off with who. And we used to call it, the aim was, all I can remember is the aim was to just get off with someone. I don't really know what get off meant, but I think you can guess. But we'd spend hours trying to come up with these formulas, and you'd kind of think, well, I better not ask that girl because she's far too good looking. I've got no chance there. That one I've got a chance with for various kind of physical ailments. All those two know they don't like me. And you would just spend hours and hours trying to come up with this formula. And come the night, you'd get all excited. The anticipation would build. The opening soundtrack of Whitney Houston's Saving All My Love For You would come over the speakers, and you think, right, this is it. You'd hunt to try and make eye contact with said woman of your dreams, who obviously you hope she looked like that, only to find, chaps, that your best mate, who'd spent hours plotting with you as to, who you would go for and who he would go for, was already there on the slow dance with said girl, and you then found out he'd been seen her for 2 weeks beforehand because he'd plucked up the courage to ask her out long before the disco. Wise move. And you went to the toilet, and that really is kind of my summations of school discos. So Valentine's Day didn't hold out great memories for me. I've told you about the awful records. There's one good one. I do quite like Berlin, and from the Top Gun film, what's the one? Take My Breath Away. That's a corker, isn't it? That's probably the best one of the 80s. But sadly, my dealings with the 80s and school discos and Valentine's Day, I didn't go home, like John Travolta in Triumph. I went home looking like that, really. And, if there is a song and a picture from the 80s that sums up the whole Valentine's Day experience for me, that's it. That you might think that's a soldier coming back from Dunkirk having witnessed the horrors of war. No, that's a young man who's been to the school disco and his best mate has legged it off with the object of his dreams. So I'm just going to leave you with a bit of the immortal Morrissey and the following words, because I think this lyric describes the whole Valentine's experience for 99% of the population, particularly about going out and trying to meet someone. So here goes. There's a club, if you'd like to go, you could meet somebody who really loves you. So you go and you stand on your own, you leave on your own, and you go home and you cry and you want to die. Thank you, Morrissey. That is Valentine's Day for most of us, isn't it? Hopefully that wasn't too painful to share with you, and that you can all kind of revel in my misfortune, and you probably all have your own horrible stories from Valentine's Day. Somebody out there might have some great stories from Valentine's Day, and they met the love of their life and were happily ever after, forever and ever and ever. Sadly, that wasn't the case with me. Thanks for watching. For those out there that, if you're not with someone on Valentine's Day, do not despair. For 20 odd years, I was that person. And one day you just meet the right person. So it can happen. But to be honest with you, if it doesn't, if you're happy by yourself, that's all that matters. And you can always find solace. You can just go buy loads and loads of records, can't you? So there you go. So can't be all bad. Thanks for watching Gavaxemanspins. I'll see you on the next one. It's the love theme from now on. I have no idea what I'm going to do next, but it'll be something I love. Thanks for watching, and hopefully that hasn't made you too sad. Have a great Valentine's Day if you're having one.